Welcome to this special bonus episode of Ignite as we speak with singer-songwriter Grace Davies. I'm Peter Sanderson from European Athletics, and I've been your guide throughout this series, speaking with some of the leading European athletes ahead of Rome 2024. But now, we switch our attention from the stars of the athletics track to a musical star, Grace Davies, who's written and performed the official song of Rome 2024, Illuminate. She's a colourful character who I had the fortune of getting to know while recording Illuminate at the famous Abbey Road Studios in London. And much like the athletes we've spoken to during the Ignite series, Grace has an incredible backstory to tell after she became a household name on her way to reaching the X Factor final in 2017. Since then, Grace hasn't looked back, and she'll sing at the closing ceremony in Rome on the 12th of June. So sit back, illuminate yourself, and listen to my chat with Grace Davies. Okay, Grace Davies, welcome to the European Athletics Studio. Thank you so much for joining us. We want to find out a little bit out about your life and your journey on your way to making the official song for the European Championships. So, I mean, where better place to start, Grace, than giving us a bit of an insight about your roots, because I know that was one of your biggest songs, about your life and where it all began in Blackburn.
Oh, okay. Right, we're doing a deep dive. I mean, that first of all, that was like such a spectacular intro. Like, thank you so much for having me. And it's also just so bizarre that I'm like doing this and so cool. So thank you so much. But yeah, so I grew up in Blackburn in Lancashire. And I think I was always into singing but didn't really realise it. I started out as a dancer, then went into musical theatre, and then it was when I was like 13. I think like I started a grammar school and just realised that education was my strong point, but I really hated it and I just wanted to be a singer. So I spent most of my like GCSEs just staring out the window wishing I was on stage. And then when I was like 16, I basically set up my own business, and me and my dad used to go around every pub, wedding venue, everything, just sticking my business cards through. And I basically became like an event singer when I was 16, and started writing my own songs. And I think I feel like I've been self-employed for like 11 years now because I'm 27. So it's been a long journey, but I didn't really stop. And I moved down to London when I was 19, and just to be closer to my management team who I'm still with now. And yeah, just like released and kind of hope for the best. And yeah, been doing it like that ever since, really.
Wow. Well, tell us a little bit about your first memory of music, because it's very clear that music is your life. But do you have that first memory of when you fell in love with music?
I do actually. Now, I didn't grow up in a musical family at all. We never had any instruments around the house. Both my parents and the rest of our family, actually, no one plays instruments. So it was very much just from the music I was brought up on in the car. My dad's really into music, although he doesn't play it. He had such a broad collection of stuff. So I grew up listening to like Roxy Music and ELO and just everything in the car, like Simply Red, Lighthouse Family. So I had just such like an eclectic mix of stuff, and I think I'd really just remember those car journeys like on the way to France for holidays and stuff, and we would all just like sing in the car. And I think that's where my like love for music came from, and especially just like live like instruments. I think these days a lot of music is produced just like at a laptop, and it's so easy to make a song without having to come out of the box, whereas I think my love for music is real like analog stuff. When I was 16, I was singing like jazz in fine dining restaurants, and I was singing with swing bands and stuff, and I think that really comes from my dad's like passion for that kind of music. So yeah, I very much have to say like my early memories are like just listening to like great stuff in the car. I think that's where it came from.
Is there one particular song that you remember singing out loud with the windows down en route to France with your dad?
Oh, I mean, Let's Stick Together, Brian Ferry, Roxy Music. That was our kind of like family song. So my dad's a massive Brian Ferry fan. So I think that was just like injected into all of us from birth. But yeah, that was definitely one that I remember clearly.
I bet many musicians are shaped through that same way, because I guess that is our first exposure to music. So we can all blame our dads and mums for our good and bad taste in
Exactly.
music, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I am like a hardcore Robbie Williams fan. I absolutely love him, and I definitely have like my mum to thank for that. My dad won't take any credit whatsoever. But yeah, that's definitely where it comes from. It's for sure just the stuff that I grew up around.
And has your new life, Grace, allowed you the chance to meet some of these people? Like, have you met Robbie Williams?
Yeah. Which
How
is
was
so
that?
bizarre. Oh my god, it was amazing. So I he sent me flowers in 2017, which was just wild. So this was when I was on X Factor back then, and I really wanted to sing with him in the final. And he wasn't able to make it, so I walked into my hotel room and just had this massive bouquet of roses that was just like unlike anything I'd ever seen in my life, and a little card that was like, "Good luck in the final, babe. You're ace. Love, Robbie." And I just sat there and sobbed. And then the year after
That's
he
brilliant.
actually, yeah, and then the year after he was a judge on X Factor, and I managed to meet him there. And was just like, "You probably don't remember me, but you sent me flowers." And then he was like, "No, I do." And we had this like just such a lovely conversation. So I feel very blessed to have like met my hero and then be nice, because that doesn't happen
Wow.
always. But yeah, it's been quite wild for sure.
How did you break that to Paloma Faith when she came and shared that song for you in the final then? Well, you are my second favourite artist. I mean, I'm really happy to see you, but actually I wanted Robbie Williams.
Oh, that's so funny. No, Paloma was great, but something that was organized without me being aware. So it was very much like, "Oh, you're singing in the final with Paloma Faith." And I was like, "Oh, I mean, great. She's wicked." But it wasn't something that I was like consulted in, but I was like more than happy to. And she was wicked. And I think that whole performance turned out so beautifully. So yeah, she's awesome.
It actually did, and maybe that's destiny, really, isn't it? That I'm
Yeah.
sure one day, you and Robbie will get to sing a duet, and sometimes it's better if it doesn't happen all at once. And a lot of things were happening for you in that particular period, weren't they?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was definitely a crazy time of my life. So yeah, fate and all of that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's kind of connect with that, and obviously a lot of people know you through the song Roots, because that was the song, your personal song that you sang in the final, and also a song I think you sang in the auditions as well, didn't you? So, can you
Yeah.
tell us like where are the roots of that song, and what where was that song born apart from obviously in your heart? I mean, where did it come from? Where did those amazing lyrics come from?
So, I had just moved down south for the first time in my life. Moved into like my house that my manager owned, and he was like, "Just live here. Like, we can just make music and like break the industry together." And I was like, "Oh, what a dream!" And yeah, I'd lived there for like 2 weeks, I think, and I just sat at my piano in the living room and wrote Roots by myself, and it was very much like kind of, I love Blackburn and I love where I grew up, but there was nothing for me there. Especially in the music industry, I found it really, really hard to get going because nobody knows anything about the music industry up there, and it's all in London, and it just felt so isolating. So to be somewhere brand new where I felt like the world was at my feet was such an immense feeling, and that is what Roots is about. It's actually about like the house that I was living in. I think a lot of people think it's like either a love song to someone or a love song about my hometown, when actually it's quite the opposite. It's like my roots won't keep me warm, like they where I come from isn't going to help me in this industry, but this newfound love for this new area, this new house, like this is what's hopefully going to bring me closer to what I want in life. So yeah, it kind of just fell out of me, and I always say it's so weird that is my biggest song because it's the one that took the least amount of effort. I wrote it in about 35-40 minutes, just
Wow.
completely by myself in my living room, which I have never done since that day. So yeah, I don't know what kind of magic happened that day, but it was pretty special.
Wow. I remember Gary Barlow saying the same about Back for Good by Take That. A lot of people, that's their favorite Take That track. And
Yeah.
when someone asked him, how long did it take? He says, well, about 12 minutes, to be honest. It's
Yeah.
almost like the song is waiting to come and get you rather than, you creating the song, right? It's almost like waiting.
It is that, and I think, as a songwriter, which I think primarily, although I am an artist, I think I am primarily a songwriter, and I think I have to experience things to really write a great song about it. And so I think it was probably just the move and everything being so new, and I had so much more life experience that week than I had 2 weeks prior. So I think I just had way more to say, and I notice that now, like if I don't write for a little while and I've just experienced something in my life, songs just pour out of me. So yeah, I think it is sometimes things are just waiting to be written. They just need a little shove for you to do something drastic in your own life, and then it happens.
Well, it sounds like London is a magical place for you, and it kind of opens doors and portals that take you to the next level.
Yeah, I mean, I've been here since I was 19, 27 now, so yeah, 8 years. And although I am such a countryside girl, that's where I was, brought up, and I miss it dearly. I just think, like I said before, the world is at my feet here, and I live here, and I can get to the studio within 25 minutes. And I walk past basically the entire music industry on my way to get there. So it's just like everything seems to be here, and I love that. For now, I definitely think I will probably either go back up north or like somewhere countryside in the future when I've made my millions. But yeah, no, I definitely love like being here. It's such a special place, and for the moment it really feels like the only place you can do this job.
Yeah. Well, I totally understand. When was it? What was the moment in your life you decided to do X Factor? Because obviously we can't have this interview without talking about it. I wouldn't have seen
Yeah.
you if, or we would, European Athletics would not have known about you had X Factor not existed. And you
Yeah.
know how I feel about your journey. I mean, I followed you, and I always when that show was on, I remember there's always in every year there's always one person that immediately just jumps out and stands out as a proper quality musician who can sing from the heart. And that without doubt, in your year it was you, and I think everybody would agree with that. And I cry every time I hear Roots.
Bless you.
So what what where did that begin? Was it something that you watched X Factor on a regular basis and just dreamt of, or was it just someone pushing you to do it?
I would say a mixture of both. So, I mean, I definitely grew up watching X Factor. It was something that I loved because I guess I was seeing people like live out my dream of being that sort of like small town girl that like gets the big break. I was watching that as I was growing up, so it definitely was um something that I aspired to when I was younger. I think as I got older, I didn't. And I think that's where it became like such a tricky decision for me to go on, because X Factor, like glory days, had kind of happened and it was sort of on its way out by the time I got to it. But when I was 17, I went to a Psycho, so Simon's label. They were doing a scout day in Lancaster. And
Simon Cowell we're talking about here.
Yes. So it was it was his like label Psycho. So he wasn't actually there, but they did it in like a shopping centre in Lancaster, and they just said like, anyone like come and sing, if you've got a talent, come and show your face. So I went and I sung, and from that moment, I don't think I've ever told this story, by the way, before, so not an exclusive, but like it feels, I don't know if this is illegal, but I
Please tell
went
it.
down to the Psycho offices in London. And they were like, we'd love you to come on Britain's Got Talent. We know you play piano, like come on, sing your own songs. And so I did. And I got like 4 yeses, standing ovation, and then I didn't get through to like the live semi-finals. They rang me and said like, actually, we think you'd be way better fitted for X Factor, so we're gonna completely wipe your audition, like we're not gonna air it, and then hopefully you'll come on X
No
Factor.
way.
Yeah, and I was like, no, I don't want to. I think
Wow.
I just freaked out, and I was like, I don't think I want to do X Factor. Like, I want to sing my own stuff, because by that point I'd already started writing, I'd already started releasing. So I was
Yeah.
like, I know what X Factor's like. Like, you're gonna make me do rock week, band week, like all of these different genres. And I was like, I was scared of it. So I said no, and then it was like 3 years on the trot that they kept approaching me for it and saying, it was eventually in the
Wow.
end they were like, oh, fine, if you want to sing your own songs you can do. And I was like, oh, okay, that's a game changer. So as much as like I loved X Factor growing up, I think I was a bit more wary of it as an adult. But obviously here I am now, and I can't ever like knock that experience, because like you said, like we wouldn't be talking now without it. But I also just think I wouldn't have any of the opportunities that I have now, and I might not even be like noticed by anyone, who knows, without it. So it has brought me a lot of good luck, and I was so like blessed that I was able to sing all my own songs the whole way through and kind of showcase who I was as an artist on that show, because it hadn't been done before, and I'm like forever grateful for that. So yeah, I mean, I sang Roots in my first audition, and then managed to sing it again in the final as what would have been my winner's song. So I think I couldn't have asked for it to go any better, really. It definitely gave me a huge platform.
It strikes me that X Factor is the stage for singers generally, rather than musicians. I mean, that was certainly the impression I got from watching it. And
Yeah.
you were the kind of the black sheep there, where you were finally, and there was a couple of other people along over the years, but you came along, and to have the strength of mind at that age to say, I'm only doing this if I can do my stuff. Because a lot of people, and this is kind of my bugbear really, people who come on X Factor and they say, I want to be famous, and that's it. What do you want to do? I want to be famous. And
Yeah.
you were not that. You were not that musician. You were suddenly someone who came on and I want to be myself. And that is, I think, why so many people connected with you. At least that was my reading of it. So, I mean, where did you get that strength of mind and strength of heart to kind of to be stubborn enough to say, listen, I'm doing it my way, even though this is X Factor, which is a massive, massive show?
Yeah. I don't know, actually. I think I never pictured myself as a writer as I was growing up, but as I sort of fell into songwriting when I was 17, I think I fell more in love with it and sort of went, oh, okay, maybe this is my thing. I'm like the singer-songwriter girl, rather than, like you said, like the singer that someone can throw songs at and kind of meld into what they want them to be. So I think I just felt very strongly about like, I know my sound, I know what I want to look like, I know who I want to be as an artist, and I'm terrified of someone changing that. So I don't know, because I was young, I was only 20, but I definitely had like a fight within me to say like, no, that's out of my comfort zone. But I think there also was some naivety in what X Factor would bring for me, because I think I very much saw it as like a singing competition. This is a chance for me to go on and kind of show people who I am and show them my songs. And I kind of forgot that it also is a reality TV show, and they do want drama and they want you to cry and things like that. So I think I had like such a love-hate relationship with it. But when I look back at it now, I can only like be grateful for the great bits that have brought me where I am. So yeah, I do just feel like very lucky that they allowed me to just be myself.
Yeah, wow. Well, respect. They it started to evolve. Maybe they saw that the end was coming for the show, and they needed to evolve and have a real quality artist like yourself coming through. But it's great that they kept asking you to come back as well. I mean, that's a huge compliment, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. But I think it was just, it was a sign of the times as well. Just, you've got way more artists these days topping the charts that write their own stuff and are singer-songwriters than 15 years ago. So I think for me, I was just like, look at the charts, look at what music is these days. These are people that do sit in their living room and write songs, and then they're topping the charts. That's what artists are these days. So maybe like as a show, we should follow that. So it was really nice to see that change within the show, and it kind of went like that way moving forward as well, which was great.
I mean, Ed Sheeran's a great example of that, isn't he? The fact that
Exactly.
he stuck to his guns and refused many record labels because they tried to change him to be James Blunt, who he clearly wasn't. But even though it's his good mate, yeah. Well done. I just think it's brilliant that you stuck to your guns, because I think maybe it's a generational thing as well. I think in previous generations, a lot of people would have been scared to do that. But the beauty about your generation is you really, you are yourselves, and you make that clear, and to the authorities and to the old school traditionalists.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, we're kind of here because you have, and you were asked to sing the official song of the European Championships. Can you tell us a little bit about how that began from your side and your experience and the journey that you've been on since then?
What, since getting your email?
Well, I didn't want to say that, but yeah, kind of.
I mean, yeah, it was so wild. I went to my managers, and they just sort of went, "Oh, by the way, you've been asked if you'd be interested to like write and perform the official song of the European Athletics Championships." And I just laughed because I was like, "Surely not! Like that's humongous!" And it just felt like so wild. And I was like, "Is this person real? Like, just check that they've got like an official email." Because I was like, "That can't be right." But I mean, it was honestly great. Like, I think all three of us, me and Kat and Rick, my beautiful managers, we were all just sat in their living room like, that's big. Okay. So I was like, right, we'll find out some details, but like, I'm so up for that. And I think it was so nice to obviously connect with you and the whole team. And also it kind of like put some of my applied songwriting to the test, because I've always just I write for other artists as well, but I can normally like relate my like relationship troubles to their relationship troubles, and we write a sad love song and all of that, whereas this was a completely different ball game, cough cough wink wink, ball game. And it was like, yeah, it was just to write something so anthemic that's going to represent athletes and stuff, which is not my ball game at all. I'm not athletic in the slightest, but it was so nice to like hear you say, we want you to represent the voices of athletes, and they don't always have a positive journey. They also have a lot of those athletes that are there aren't going to make it through to the Olympics and aren't going to get the result they wanted and all of that. So kind of draw the bad and the good together and write something inspiring. I was like, okay, this is really cool, and obviously such a huge opportunity. So I'm grateful to you guys, like so grateful, because even now just like looking at Spotify and seeing like Illuminate brackets the official song of European Athletics, I'm like, whoa, she's official. So it feels like such a massive opportunity.
Well, I tell you what, Grace, the feeling is mutual, and in some ways, I pinch myself for the opposite reason. I pinch myself because I can't believe we've got you to sing this song, and this kind of the journey began for us with X Factor and watching you. And I remember whoever I was watching it with, I can't remember, but I can remember saying, "Oh my goodness, I would love to work with that girl." At the time, I'd worked for UEFA and different sports federations, and I thought she would be an incredible person. And I know that athletics and track and field feels a million miles from music, but the reality is the journey those athletes go on is very similar to your journey on X Factor.
Yeah.
They go through heartbreak, they go through pain, they put so much time in that you don't even see for that one moment. And we all on X Factor, mainly we got to see you on stage during your song, but think of all that work you put in every single week to learn that song and nail it and get it absolutely spot on that we didn't see.
Yeah.
And that's why I thought you'd be the perfect person. Plus the fact you got an absolutely insanely beautiful voice and great depth to your vocals and great range and an amazing songwriting ability. Apart from that, it was
Oh,
a really
wow.
difficult decision.
Oh no, you've just written
Um,
my CV there. That was brilliant. Thank you. That was great. No,
oh,
I mean, it's such an opportunity, and it's just been such a joy to work with you guys, and also so scary to see how many people are on an email thread because it's such a huge operation, and I think it's the official song, but you guys still have the whole championships. And to me, I'm like, this has taken up like my past few months, and I'm like, wow, this is like the biggest thing in my life. You're like, yeah, this is great, we've got the song, but like we still got all of this to do. So I mean, it's just such a pleasure to like even play like a small part in just such a huge operation. And I feel very, very lucky, and international.
Well, the dream is, Grace, that we get you out there for the opening ceremony, that we get you playing, in front of a full stadium at the Olympic Stadium in Rome. So let's. There's obviously some more emails to send, and probably an even bigger list of people just to kind of ratify that. But that's what we want, and let's hope that happens, and then we can kind of complete the dream and go full circle.
Yeah, I mean that would be wild. That would be wicked. I'm gonna keep all my fingers crossed, but like I said, it's a big operation, so no pressure. But I would love to be there.
Well, if it was my call, you would be there yesterday. So,
Wicked.
yeah, let's cross our fingers and our toes. Tell us about "Illuminate" the song, and I mean, you mentioned how it happened at the beginning, but how did the song come together, and how did those lyrics fall together so beautifully?
So I think I was quite lucky that I'd just finished writing my album, and probably just finished producing my album. So I had my dream team, basically to hand, who I've spent the past year with. So I pulled in my producer Paul Worley, who is just an absolute genius and can literally, you give him any style of music and he's like, "Yep, I've just whipped this up in 5 minutes and it sounds done." He's brilliant.
Wow.
And Ben Lyth, who I've been writing a lot of my album with, and so we pulled all three of us into Paul's studio, and we just went, right, okay, here's what Peter said he wants. He wants something super like emotional, intimate to begin with, and then something to explode into, I guess, euphoria. And we had a whole like reference list of tracks from you and some that we had put in together, things that you typically hear on sports coverage, and they all have a really, really similar drum pattern. And I think we realized that the more we kind of watched past European athletics coverage on YouTube and football or whatever we watched, the songs that were behind the coverage all had that same kind of like drum pattern. So it was kind of like an easy starting point for us to go, okay, this is like sports gold. But we still got to kind of like make it represent the championships and the athletes, and also like be my voice as well. And so after kind of listening to all those, Illuminate was actually the first song that we wrote. We did 2 days of writing. You came to the second day. You flew over and came to meet me and my team, which was lovely. And we basically had Illuminate finished when we played them to you. So it just kind of, this one in particular really like fell out of us. And I think because the brief was so tight of like, it needs to be about this and it needs to be uplifting, and there wasn't like enough wiggle room for us to go off piste, I don't think, which was good. So it just so happened that we obviously nailed it in the first write, which was
certainly
wicked.
Did.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you like it, of course. Like, imagine if I'd write something awful. That would have been horrendous.
Well, of course we like it. I mean, I think we said it from the start that I've never had, when we've made a couple of anthems for different events in the past, but we've never had the dream. And for us, we had the right artist from the start. you've clearly got an amazing team around you. I guess the timing was absolutely spot on, because you've been working
Yeah.
with these amazing writers and producers, and so it kind of, some things are just meant to be and they fall into place. It just feels for this project that happened.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen very often in life. I mean, sometimes you got to force things. But this one just the fact that you even responded to my email at the very beginning, because I thought she's going to think I'm some weirdo. Who's
Oh, I did. Don't worry.
Yeah, well, so you know me very well, clearly. But yeah, but really, I thought, how do we get her? How do we get? Because I knew I wanted you, but I thought, and so I ended up, I think, messaging you off the back of seeing something on YouTube about your management, and I didn't even know if your management really existed, and I guess I couldn't work out why you weren't already like absolutely, huge in the music industry after what I'd seen on X Factor, and obviously, that story is for multiple reasons, contract and COVID and whatnot. But I mean, in some
Yeah.
ways, what a dream from our side to be able to get you, because it was almost like time had stopped to allow that to happen, and now, like, you are back out there, Grace. You are back out there, and I see
Yeah.
that from social media. How does that feel?
I mean, it's really scary. Like you said, I've had quite a turbulent experience being an artist since the show. Just, being signed, being held back, then the label shutting down, then it being COVID, me not allowed to release, me being independent, not being able to fund releases, and it's been quite, turbulent. But I think just everything seems to have fallen into place over the past like year and a half, and being able to release music independently, and then getting experiences and opportunities like this. Which, like you said, had I done an absolute stonker 7 years ago and been Ed Sheeran level, like, who knows if things like this would have ever happened. So I feel like it just feels like fate when things fall into place. And I'm not really a believer in anything, but I do believe that everything happens for a reason. And yeah, it feels great to be doing things like this, although I'm very scared at the moment, because I have been away for about a year and a half after releasing my last EP independently. I was super, super tired, and I hadn't really had a break since my label shut down in 2020, because I just went, right, well, I've not done all this work for me to just disappear off the face of the earth, so I'm just going to release, and I'm just going to put songs out. And me and my team of 3 people were just flat on the floor by the end of 2022. So I went, do you know what? I'm going to take some like 2 or 3 months off and then just come back and write an album. And that's what I've done. But obviously to the public, it looks like I've been completely silent for a year and a half. So to come back with a song like this is like, I don't know, for me, it feels like, okay, this is a huge way of reopening my project. Because now, straight after this, it really is perfect timing, because obviously we've put this out, and then I'm going to be fast approaching into like album releases. So it really does feel like great timing for me and my project. But yeah, it just felt like, okay, someone out there still cares about me and my music, i.e. you guys, and still wants to work with me. That means there are still people out there, and it just gave me a little bit of like hope and like warmth to be like, okay, coming back is not so scary. There are still going to be people there, and also it's a great thing to like scream and shout about as an artist, but also just it's one of the biggest events in sports, so it's such a pleasure to be a part of. So I was just like, this is great, we're going to be fine. But obviously, yes, now I do have my album stuff to come out, which is terrifying, but we'll be all right.
Yeah. Well, we'll look after you, don't worry, in Rome. And it is almost like you've been re-illuminated, isn't it? And the light and the spotlight has fallen back on you. But I don't think it's, I mean, listen, I understand. I've never been an artist of your level, but I don't think you got anything to be scared of, Grace. You just have to be yourself and do what you do best, which is sing and make incredible music.
Yeah, it definitely feels that way, and I feel lucky every day that I'm like able to make music, especially independently, because it is tough and it is so expensive. But just to be able to like support myself and do this every day, and live in London and things like that, it's such a dream. So yeah. Well, thanks for working with me though. That's the main thing.
I have a feeling I'm not the only person who wants to work with you, Grace. I think now that, for example, this is out, I mean, I've got my little Alexa app here, and I just before this chat, I said, Alexa, please play Grace Davies Illuminate, and then ding, it came on, and that reminded me just how big this song is going to be, and not just this song, but all those songs that are going to be on your album. I know you gave me a bit of a sneak preview. I'm not sure I'm allowed to say that, but there's a lot of gold to come down the line, and yeah, it's just great to have an artist like you who is so authentic, and everyone said this at European Athletics, like she's so perfect for this because she's just so authentic and so herself, and you feel that with every lyric and every song and every note, and thank you so much for being part of the European Championship. Thank you for allowing us to just have a little bit of your magic.
No, honestly, it's such a pleasure, and it goes straight back to like just thank you for remembering that I existed, and thinking of me, and yeah, it's by far like one of the coolest things I've ever done in my career. So I'm just forever in debt. Thank you.
Well, just don't forget us when you go on to do an Ed Sheeran or an Adele or whatever you go on to be, like a Grace Davies. Actually, that's what you're going to be, and no one can stop you doing that. Wow. Well, thanks. Is there anything else that you would like to say or add just to this chat that you think is important? Because I know you've got a huge fan base, and probably even though this is probably going to sit on European Athletics' platform, I'm sure they'll be listening too. So any words for your amazing fans?
I mean, okay. I mean, obviously, as I have spoken about, there is music coming, and it's coming so quickly. So that's exciting. But yeah, I mean, I think I've said everything. Like, it's great to see like two kind of polar opposite, but also similar worlds joined together of music and sports. And it just feels really special to be part of. So I hope that my kind of fan base embrace the athletics as much as like a vice versa. So I think it's really lovely that we've kind of brought each other into our own worlds, and it feels really cool.
And where can people find you, Grace? For the people in the sports world who maybe didn't know you from X Factor, where can people find them and find that music? And when's the album coming out? Do you even know the date yet?
I mean, I do, but I'm not allowed to say, Peter.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I do apologise.
No, it's all good. So, I mean, I'm everywhere that you can find music, Grace Davies. I'm on Instagram, Grace Davies Official, like all of those. And I think, there's just website links on all of my platforms that you can click on and find everything, really. So yeah, and then obviously go and watch the Illuminate music video. That's a good plug.
Oh yeah, go and illuminate yourselves. Well,
exactly.
It's been an honor, Grace. Thank you so much for your time, and good luck with this whole journey beyond Illuminate. But for now, enjoy that during the European Championships, which is from the 7th until the 12th of June. And in the meantime, let's finish this off with the Illuminate track. So for those of you who haven't heard it, this is Illuminate. In fact, no, Grace, please, you introduce it. And
okay.
Why am I introducing it? Who am I?
Well, this is Illuminate and is the official song of the European Athletics Championships Roma 2024. Thanks for having me.
You've got fire running through your blood. All this heat, it is frightening. If they knock you down, I'll help you get back up at the speed of lightning. Turn up the pressure and come alive into the spiral and dive in. Kicking against all the turning tides. Eye of the storm you've been riding. Oh, I know dark dreams are on the stars are falling like the rain. Hold your heart